There's something special about the people who make the music that we love come to life. The songwriters, the producers, the engineers, those people who are working behind the scenes to really bring us that sound that we love. I had the chance to sit down with somebody who's not only an incredible talent in the music industry as a musician, a creative, a producer, an engineer, but also someone who I truly admire. His work speaks for itself. Having worked with some of our favorite artists like Chris Brown, Keri Hilson, Usher, and more, his passion, his perspective, the way that he approaches music are just a few of the things that make him one of the best. My interview with Adrian Porter, aka AP, starts now. So we are here. Adrian Porter, yes. Engineer connoisseur, musical genius. I know, I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to this interview for so long. I mean, like, you are one of the most genuine people that I have come across in this industry. So I was like, we need to shine a light. We need to let people know because, like, let's be real. The engineers, they don't get enough shine. They don't get enough shine because really and truly, they're the ones that really make the music what it is. Of course, you have the talent. We're not discrediting the talent and the producers and the songwriters, but the real nitty gritty of a song, it's really in the engineering. Yes. So tell me, how long have you been in this industry?
I have been in this industry since 1996.
1996.
Yeah, but I started as a drummer.
Okay.
With Aaliyah. So that's how I got my start.
Yeah.
I played on tour with
Okay.
many artists for years. Genuine 112, of course, Aaliyah starting, Jagged, you know, and many more.
Yeah.
Eventually, it evolved into producing records, then eventually engineering those records as well.
Yeah.
So that's how I got in.
Now you know we got to talk about Baby Girl.
Yes, okay, come on.
Aaliyah, obviously one of the most iconic faces and voices in R&B. And so what was your experience like working with her?
That was my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. But amazing though. Amazing family. You know, mom and dad was there as well with us. You know, her dad was a part of kind of mentoring me as well because that was my first shot in music.
Wow.
You know, from, you know, South Carolina to the big stage, big opportunity.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah. Would you say that you have any like memorable studio moments with her?
Probably all my memorable moments would be the ones like just real life.
Yeah.
Like we watched the Tyson Holyfield fight together. We were here in Atlanta at the, it used to be called the Atrium.
Yeah.
But they had like a fight party.
Okay.
And we all went over there and yeah, that's like one of the memories, you know, moments like that.
Yeah, like real life. Like obviously like from our side of things, we know her as the artist, but you knew her as your friend and continue to carry on her legacy and in her memory. I love that.
Sure.
So as far as all the years, I mean, you recently came off of the Past, Present, Future tour with Usher. Let's get into live music. So, I mean, you've been doing this for so long, but what would you say is the difference between studio sessions and live shows?
Perfection. Studio gives you grace of one more time.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Let's do it again. Live shows, you've got one shot, and the shot is now. So if you're supposed to execute whatever note, whatever your verse is that's coming up in the next bar, you've got to get it right now. There's no, oh, hold on, audience. Let me do that again. I don't like how I approach that.
You got it or nothing. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And now, you know, the times we live now, it lives forever.
Yeah.
So, you know, you have the pressure of now, but you also have the pressure of knowing that now is going to live forever. It's going to be the future as well.
Have you had any moments on a live tour where you had to kind of like put out little fires? Because, I mean, you're live and you had to fix things, or is it usually pretty well planned and organized?
The idea is to prepare well enough to that day. It's just about execution. You know, same thing, you know, just like being an athlete.
Yeah.
You prepare your spring training, all of that. So when it's game day, it's flawless.
Yeah.
You know.
How many other artists, like, who are some of the other notable artists that you've worked with?
So currently now, Usher, Chris Brown, Cardi B, but in the past,
the list goes on.
Yeah, Ciara, Keri Hilson, Jeezy, Future, 112, Jagged, Angie Stone, Reishi, so many artists.
So many. Okay, so let's talk about some of these artists and their music. So what would you say if you can pinpoint, let's start with Chris Brown, right? Any of his particular songs that are most meaningful to you that you worked on? Or what were some of the songs that you worked on?
Man, I've been a part of Chris's process from studio to live for a while now. We met, my first opportunity was when he Transformers.
Oh, okay.
So he wanted someone to come in and create this special dance break for the record. And he had tried a few things. They ended up calling me in, and I worked with him in Virginia
Okay.
for like 2 days because I had to be on another project.
Yeah.
But for like 2 days, I mean, all day, 24 hours. But that was my first experience with Chris. And then in that moment, I was like, oh yeah, he's great. He's amazing. Because I did something crazy. I was like, so I come in, I don't know him.
Right,
I'll tell you the story.
Yeah.
We don't know each other, but he knows I'm the guy who's been hired. So, you know, we do the introduction. And I'm like, yo, I set up all my stuff. I'm like, yo, I'm ready to do this, you know. I said, but it'll help me a lot and we can get to it really quicker if I could just record you. Now, if you know him, like, you just ain't recording him, to be, you know. And then I'm a strange guy. So it's like,
that's a big thing. Part, you got to know somebody who knows somebody, vouch for you, all the things.
Like, I'm going to just play the stuff in the background and just do what you have in mind.
Yeah.
I said, give me a while to figure something out or create something based on your movement, right? So he let me record him. A few hours, I call him back in the room. And he's like, yeah, oh man, that's crazy. It's just super dope. Yeah. And it's been, I've been
ever since.
Yeah.
What is your creative process like? I mean, because to be able to come up with things just based on, because I imagine it's very particular for each artist, you know? Yes. So tell me a little bit about your creative process.
Listening. So my first job is to listen. And if I have the most optimal scenario, I like to build rapport with whomever I'm working with first.
Yeah.
That way you're comfortable and you trust that the things you're saying that, I care about your words and that I am listening. And so for me, it kind of helps me soften my guard, and hopefully helps them kind of soften their guard to where they can be more vocal. So the first thing is just listening and kind of building a rapport, just to break down the walls,
Yeah, I think that gets lost a lot of times in the industry, like relationship.
Oh, because everybody just wants what they want.
Yeah, they want what they want.
It's like McDonald's.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important that that you pride yourself on listening to artists too. Have you ever had moments where you're listening to them but they're not trying to hear what you have to say, like where you guys have?
Or they're like, nah, just I just want this.
Yeah.
Just give me the thing I want. You know.
So what do you do in those situations?
Look at them like they're crazy. I mean, because it's important.
Yeah.
I mean, your most things in your life, you probably can do that with, right?
Yeah.
And they function properly. But if my job is to listen at you and hear what your vision is for this product, right? Or this thing you're trying to create and this experience you're trying to, bring together.
Right.
Why wouldn't you want to be as detailed about that as possible? It's the only way I can see that your vision to its end result.
Right.
To one you really want, right?
And at the end of the day, you have their best interest, and you.
That's why I'm trying to listen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true, because I can only imagine, there's a certain perfectionism with each artist and they want their things done a certain way, but there's also perfectionism in you as the engineer to make sure that this is what is going to be the best product. Yeah.
As a creative, because, most of the time I'm on jobs because I'm a producer as well. My job is really hybrid, right? I'm the engineer and I'm the technical guy, right, to do all those things, right? But when people hire me, they usually hire me for my creative side as well, because they know I can kind of fill those gaps as well, right?
Yeah.
Or it'll be vice versa. One may weigh heavier than the other one.
So what does a typical session look like? Let's say if you're working with a new artist, you listen to them first, but what does a typical session look like?
Cool. Once the listening is done, it's about cool. Okay, cool. Now I've listened, and the whole time I'm listening, I'm thinking of tools to grab from a toolbox, right? Those could be things in my mind,
Right.
tools I want to use within my DAW, right? Within my software. Okay, cool. Cool. She needs this. She wants this, or he wants this. Needs this. Okay, cool. I need this. I need some congas. I need this type of key. This type of keys. You know, I need a string section. So I've already thought about a composer for strings. You know, based on the skeleton I build, who I potentially hire for that.
Right.
You know, those kind of things. So it's just about attacking then, right? And then usually, you know, I love to have the talent like with me, you know, if possible, if they could stick around and see that process. And then as we're kind of building, they could say, ooh, not that. Oh, ooh, yes, that.
Right.
That? Oh, cool. Then we keep pushing forward.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the next step. Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned like equipment and different, you know, technological things that you use. How, like, you have crossed so many genres and decades of music and technology. So tell me a little bit about today's technology and what do you feel like it is? I mean, there's so many different resources now. A lot of artists are able to record from home, right? So what do you think that you bring to the table that AI and all the other technologies just cannot bring? Why? And just tell me about the transition and all the technology from the past into now.
Well, before I forget that one question, right? The difference, right? And what I bring, right? It's experience, right? It's care. It's the ability and the experience to take vision and dreams and bring those things to reality, right? Which supersede, hopefully, your expectations. The difference in technology, when I started with Aaliyah, if we needed to make a change, we had to stop everything. And we got to go to a physical studio. And then when we got to the studio, we'd have to recall all those records from tape or, you know, whether it was ADATs or whatever it was. You got to physically recall that stuff, you know. Like a piece of gear, every piece of gear, you've got to put the number where it was before.
That's a lot.
And still there's, you know,
Yeah.
it's not 100% exactly the same, but we would have to recall. So it would take 2 days to do what we can do now as far as editing, adding new elements. We can do that within an hour, hour two, depending on what the load is, right?
Yeah.
But before that 1 or 2 hour, you know, process, oh, that used to be 2 days.
So it's definitely saving you some time for sure.
It saves time. It saves a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
Because those studios were expensive.
Yeah.
You know, really expensive.
I do want to get into that though. I know you didn't finish answering the other part of the question, but like I've noticed there's been a shift in the longevity, like in the length of songs. And it's kind of like, and my whole process was, you know, they're not paying for studio time anymore. So it's like they give you 2-minute songs because that's what they're doing at home. I want to kind of get your take on that. Like as far as the quality of music now, it's definitely not the same. Of course, there are going to be your, you know, specific artists who are still giving that great quality music. But as far as the length of songs, I feel like they done took out the bridges and everything is just so short.
It's about money, and then it's about the consumer's attention span.
Yeah.
That's what it's really about. If the consumer said we want bridges, there would be bridges. If the consumer said we want 2 bridges in a song,
Right.
they would make it happen. Like creatives would make it happen.
Yeah.
But because the consumer is so ready to go next, if your song isn't to the point and out of there,
Yeah.
you're gonna get this next anyways.
But I mean, from what I've seen, it feels like the consumers do want bridges. Like, because I won't say which particular songs, but like, there are some songs that are amazing songs, and we're sitting here like, we want more. Like, we wish this song were longer.
And I agree.
Yeah.
There is a consumer base that does want full records that feel good, records that aren't so cookie cutter and generic, right?
Yeah.
There's a consumer base for that. But the people who make the decisions in our industry, it's about bottom line.
Yeah.
They're not connected to the people that way. They're only connected to the algorithm. And what the numbers say is the best move to make as a business, right?
Yeah.
And then you even have some artists now who are tapped into the social media algorithm, and they only want to make these super short
Social
songs.
media music. Yep.
Yeah.
They call it TikTok music.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. So if that's your base,
yeah.
why would you ever do a song with
If
a
it
bridge?
makes you money, it is.
And most of those artists don't have that type of substance anyways. You have to be an artist of substance.
Yeah.
To, doing bridges and vamps and, reprises and interludes.
Yeah.
That's a certain type of artist.
It is. So you having worked with these certain types of artists who definitely have substance and longevity in their careers, what do you say are some of those pivotal personality traits or even the way that they go about their music and their business that makes them that?
Love. They love what they do. One of my most recent motivations is my brother Usher.
Yeah.
To see how he gets up every day, motivated, usually with a smile on his face, you know what I'm saying? And I see, because I'm with him a lot, you know, I see what he's going through all day, and I know how I feel. I know, when I'm mentally drained and just like, I'm ready to tap out.
Right.
But seeing him go through his whole day, dealing with so many people, doing so many things.
Yeah.
And then having the pressure of being the one,
Yeah.
then being the one that's responsible for all these people, and then being the one to go on stage at the end of the night
and show up
and execute
every time.
Every time.
Yeah.
And want to do it with excellence.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
It's motivating. It's inspiring.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Like, I've been to a few of the shows and I absolutely see that. And like, I can't even imagine, because like you said, I have those days where it's like, I don't really feel like doing anything, but to constantly be almost like needed at all times. And there's a demand for someone at all times.
And you can only do that if you love it.
Yeah.
And you gotta love it, and you gotta love yourself in it.
Right.
And even when he's tapped out, I still see him. He shows up.
Yeah. Yeah.
He shows up.
And that's what you get. That's what you get a 30-year career. You know what I'm saying? That is what it takes. Like,
motivating.
No, absolutely.
So those type of artists, it's a difference. Yeah. They love what they do. And I can my boy Q Parker from 112.
Yeah.
Chris, those guys, they love what they do. Yeah. They love it.
Yeah. And that's important because there's so many ins and outs and ebbs and flows of the industry.
Lots of reasons not to.
Lots of reasons. But they show up and they give the people what we want to hear, which is good quality music, and shout out to Chris on his Grammy win for his album last year. But I mean, everybody in that category was like, ooh, that is a tough one. Like, I was like, I can't even pick because I listened to all of them and I was just like, they're all so good. But yeah, so as an engineer, I want to know, like, what would be the longest amount of time that you spent on a record?
One record.
That did end up becoming big.
That didn't.
Yeah, that did. It did.
That did.
Yeah.
Because you know what? There's not really a singular answer. Right? Yeah. Because they all require a lot of time. And usually, if I was fair, they average about the same time. Now, there have been like special projects that are really like long. Example, Usher Super Bowl last year.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's one 12-minute piece, right? But that was 3 months, 4 months of work.
Man, we only see the finished product.
You only see the finished product, you know? So these artists who've been doing that for years, it's so much that goes into it. So it's one singular product, but the Super Bowl, it required a lot of time.
Yeah, and it was definitely a hit, I would say.
It required a lot of time.
Yeah. So did you, I mean, obviously you don't do it all by yourself.
Yeah.
So what was the collaborative process for the Super Bowl and putting that all together?
So I was a lead programmer and Usher's engineer. Right? So creatively, between the creative director, the director, and Usher, they figure out what's it gonna look like, what I want it to sound like, and then how that's executed, on a football field.
Yeah.
Then the next step is to now marry audio with that vision, right? Now, so we can come up with the choreography and all of those things. And then that's the core of what that looks like. But within that is song selection, right? The editing of those songs, choosing tempos, any additional commercial work that Usher's doing, or whatever artist is doing during that Super Bowl. All of that audio, all that dialogue is recorded, during that Super Bowl period as well. So not only is all of these talented people every year focused on that performance, they also have to do all the ad stuff, get all of that stuff, dialogue, recorded voiceover, so on and so forth. But the process is crazy. And then you get Sunday.
That's all we get, and I'm like, but to me, I feel like I have a bigger appreciation for it now. Like I'll go to YouTube and watch it right now. Like now I can kind of listen into more little details, because I feel like at first glance you see all the dancers and all the fun stuff, and you see, you hear your favorite songs, but that really detailed, and those are the things that I appreciate, and a lot of people like me appreciate those behind the scenes, those how I like the process, how did this become this? How did we go from ground zero to a full production? And that's it's so fascinating, and that's why I was like, yes, I need to tap in with AP.
Well, I love that you hear music that way, or you like to experience music that way. But I feel that's what music should be. It should be like fine art.
It is.
Every time I hear my song or the song, I should be able to pick out something new.
Yeah.
If I just close my eyes, I never heard that before.
Yes.
Those moments when you listen to that music.
Yeah.
But that's a great song.
Yeah.
When a song keeps telling a story, or it keeps, as you listen more, there's a new discovery. That's great.
That's why
music.
I don't accept album reviews within the first week of it coming out. I'm like, no. You got to let that cook.
It's like skimming on a test and expecting to pass.
Right. I just feel like, no, you got to let, certain albums, you got to let it cook. It can take months before, the song that you skipped over when you first heard it, and you run it back and you're like, oh, this is all right. Okay. I'm like, this is a great song. So, no, for sure. So, okay, so you're so many decades in music, and the journey of, like I said, going back to that question as far as technology and things like that, we see a shift, and we've got AI now and things like that. First question is, what has been your journey with that and with AI, and what do you want to see with music engineering moving forward?
So I've had a crash course in AI really quickly, because the artists are aware. And for them, they want to get to the end result as quick as possible. And us as engineers and producers, we have to get to concepts quicker, build concepts quicker for a presentation, and we've got to get to end result quicker.
Yeah.
So we need to use some of those tools as well. So I've had a few scenarios in the last year where AI has been a big part of just creating a few special projects. I won't say which use them.
Yeah.
But it's really cool being able to input information just by typing, being able to choose a voice, choose the speed at which that voice is talking, create pauses, and do all of these things, and create a voiceover. For some, it's going to be very helpful, because versus me being a terrible voiceover artist and trying to do my own dialogue for my own ads because I'm a, independent business and I don't have a lot of capital to invest in marketing and voiceover talent and a studio. So I'm trying to do it, on my own, but I want to present my business the best way possible.
Yeah.
Now AI is really allowing people in those scenarios and in many other ways to have access to talent, right?
Yeah.
Or be their own talent.
A lot of working with what you have and making the most of it. Yeah.
Even like creating ideas for songs, right? So I had a scenario where we had to create without giving it away, right? Just a different version.
Okay.
Right? But there was no time to physically go, okay, cool, we need a string section, a drummer, we need these type of tonal sync to hire 20 people.
Right.
We literally used AI, typed in some general information about what we were looking for. We need the main hook lyrics to be this, need to feel like this, at this tempo, with these elements in it.
Yeah.
And literally it spit us back out.
But that's where your experience comes in, because AI can only go as far as what you tell it to.
Right.
So you having all of that experience and knowledge of what you need it to do, you know what I mean? Like, and having the terminology and knowing exactly what you're looking for from your experience, you can never take that away.
Yeah. But this is the flip side. Now we're going to go to the other part of the question.
Okay.
The impact.
Yeah.
So even though I did generate that, got a client what they needed really quickly, just was able to build a concept. That's, and because I'm a musician first, right? I am a creative.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people who lost their jobs.
Yeah.
Because in a world where all of us creatives exist, now there was no drummer to call. Now there was no bass player to call. There was no piano player to call.
Yeah.
No singer to call. But that's why, for me, I only use AI in support roles.
Got you. Yeah. So if you had the time, you're calling them up. But in this situation, yeah.
So, and the time will be created. But, that was a concept situation. Now, once that thing goes from concept to reality, a real product, now you got to, we got to figure this out, because now that's where the people come in.
Yeah.
But, AI is a blessing, but it can, hurt us as well. And what I'd like to see is, because there's no stopping it, right?
Right.
It's here and it's going to grow. But what I'd like to see is AI become more, stay in a support role.
Yeah.
Position. But we know
the
that
main creatives the number one option, and then
not even an option, right?
Yeah, or the priority.
They do it.
Right.
The creatives create the real product, right? But the AI is only used to get us from R&D phase, right, to production.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Because it's no getting rid of it.
Right. Yeah.
But how do we use it but still allow humanity to function and people to still have jobs and careers and love what they do, and not say, ooh, well, my gift is a dead end for me.
Right.
So I need to do something else.
Yeah.
That would suck. I would hate that.
Yeah.
And even for me, as a mix engineer, you could put your song in some website and AI mix it.
But it won't be the same. I always say, like, I can give you the recipe, but you won't have the sauce.
Oh, no.
That's what your experience is.
It can't care.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It can't care.
Yeah. They're not going to listen to you. They're going to hear you, but it's not going to listen to you the way that you can listen to someone.
It can only do what an algorithm says is the best thing to do.
Yeah.
So as music changes and as the consumer decides what music we're buying should sound like, it will adjust to that, right?
Yeah.
So say if consumers said, "Oh, we don't like high end no more. We just want everything to be bass."
Right.
It'll
It is what it is,
create
yeah.
everything will just be bass,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Wow.
fine line.
You have so much knowledge and expertise. So where can people find you on social media so they can support and kind of get a face with the person who's behind the scenes and creating all this wonderful music that we hear?
At the AP Factor.
At the AP Factor.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.